talks about how disappointed he is with the low-level power that they call the spirit magic. Suddenly, Leo senses Lionel behind him, and he almost gets cut, but he barely dodges the attack. Leo urges Jagan to keep Lionel under control while he is busy dealing with the old lady. Jagan gets mad and roars just as he usually does. Before Jagan can do anything, Lionel punches Leo out of the house. Morgana then takes a moment to think about it, and she realizes that Leo didn't need to dodge because he can nullify all magic. However, Lionel was able to hit him, and this leaves Morgana wondering if there is something that needs to be done before attacking him. She wonders what will happen if she hits Leo with magic from close range, without giving him the chance to disintegrate it. Lionel, on the other hand, is battling with Jagan, while the old lady is busy thinking about the possibility of what. Morgana finally takes on Leo, and she uses an underground attack to try to sneak up on him. Leo notices this and he laughs at the old lady, telling her that her trick won't work on him. The water attack tries to converge on Leo, but the nullification kicks in, blocking Morgana's attack yet again. Since this doesn't work, Morgana decides that the best she can do is use her trump card. Morgana unleashes a massive pool of water, ready to drown Leo with it. Leo also senses it, and he agrees that Morgana has him backed into a corner with her latest move. Morgana admits that Leo's power is pretty crazy, but she believes that he should not be able to handle a large mass of water. In fact, she plans to take out Leo and Jagan at the same time. Leo acts scared, just like he usually does, until he releases a powerful dark energy blast from his body to ultimately destroy the incoming water attack. Leo smiles, telling the old woman that he has been training in case of a situation like this. Morgana cannot believe that Leo is able to apply the techniques of long-range magic to his nullification magic. He finally has the old woman cornered, and Lionel has also been defeated by Jagan. Leo is about to attack Morgana when Setsuna comes out of nowhere, landing a fiery punch on Leo's face to send him flying across the forest. Morgana smiles at Setsuna's appearance, showcasing that he managed to defeat the flame spirit. Lionel can sense just how much control Setsuna has on the flames so that it doesn't burn up the forest. Jagan then turns around to tell Setsuna that he is much different from Leo, who is a freaking newbie. The moment Blazer notices that he is in the presence of the apostles, he expresses his urge to burn them to a crisp. Setsuna knows Blazer is excited, but he urges him not to let his guard down because Jagan and Leo are worthy opponents. Blazer berates Setsuna, telling him that he doesn't need to be humble since he was able to win their battle. A few minutes back in the spirit world, Setsuna and Blazer are busy landing punches on each other. Blazer lands some really good hits on Setsuna, and Setsuna does the same too. Setsuna is able to make Blazer bleed, forcing him to admit that Setsuna has some incredible willpower. Suddenly, Blazer notices that Setsuna is actually smiling, and when he asks him why he is smiling, Setsuna confidently says he's going to win. Even though all of Setsuna's face is totally disfigured from Blazer's hard punches, Setsuna has no intention of giving up. Blazer dashes towards Setsuna, telling him that he is too confident for a weak human. But Setsuna tells Blazer that he is riding on certainty, not confidence. Setsuna is forced to match Blazer's overwhelming firepower, and this leaves Blazer blown away. He never expected a human to be able to withstand his full power. Setsuna tells Blazer that he is actually pretty strong, which is why he hasn't lost until then, but he lets him know that it is also his weakness. Blazer is confused as to what Setsuna is talking about, and Setsuna reveals that he has faced despair and defeat loads of times in his past. And because he has failed plenty of times, he knows just the right way to rise again. Setsuna assures Blazer that no matter how much he is pushed into a corner, his heart will never break, which is why his willpower will help him become victorious. With a confident exclamation, Setsuna assures Blazer that he is about to face his first defeat. Blazer, on the other hand, tells Setsuna that it is going to be his last defeat. The two are locked in with one hand while throwing the other fists at each other with all the power that they can put into the fist. The clash of their fists leaves a powerful explosion that blinds everything like a nuke. When the explosion clears off, Setsuna is still standing, and Blazer has no choice but to admit that Setsuna is pretty strong and has even surpassed his expectations. Because of this, he finally acknowledges Setsuna, telling him that he has won. However, Blazer is curious to know when Setsuna became so strong that he was confident of victory. Setsuna reveals that during the battle he could feel his willpower rising. Setsuna tells Blazer that his own will also felt like a blazing fire, and he started absorbing it. Blazer is surprised to hear this, and because of how Setsuna handled everything, Blazer acknowledges Setsuna as an ally that he can entrust his power to. For the first time, he calls Setsuna by his name, not the usual way of calling him boy. The two then make a fist bump, and with his battered face, Setsuna thanks Blazer for entrusting his power to him. Blazer tells him that he has no reason to thank him, and he urges him to return to the real world. Now that Setsuna is face to face with Jagan, Lionel tells him to be careful of Jagan's claws. Setsuna already knows what Jagan is capable of, because his claws steal the power of whatever they touch. Setsuna knows this because Jagan was the only apostle he fought before regressing, and the authority given to him is the devourer of all. Basically, he can't nullify magic, but he can absorb the mana of those he slashes. Jagan was the one who single-handedly wiped out the Northern Kingdom in Setsuna's past life. It turns out that the Northern Kingdom had some of the world's best alchemical equipment, but Jagan annihilated them while stealing their magic power. Jagan is surprised that Setsuna knows about his power, but at the same time he is confident that Setsuna cannot win. On the other side of the forest, Leo also manages to stand up, and he realizes that Setsuna has gotten stronger and faster than before. Setsuna is also surprised that Leo still has the energy to stand up from the hit he delivered. This basically tells Setsuna that Leo has also gotten stronger. Jagan is excited to take on Setsuna, and he tells Leo to back off. Not ready to argue, Leo lets Jagan know that Setsuna is all his. Setsuna knows that he was only able to defeat Jagan in his past life thanks to the long-range magic. However, he doesn't have the luxury of long-range combat in the current timeline. Setsuna knows that just one slash from Jagan will make things hard for him. But at the same time, Setsuna is not about to falter in the face of danger, because he has also grown stronger. Jagen charges at Setsuna, but he throws him back with a powerful fiery punch. Setsuna doesn't give Jagen any breathing space as he dashes toward him to deliver more flame-imbued punches to his body. While getting battered by Setsuna, Jagen cannot believe that Setsuna is actually faster than him. Unknown to him, Setsuna is moving at such a great speed because he combined Blazer's power with his physical boost. Lionel senses this, and he smiles like a proud father. Setsuna continues to hit Jagen like a drum as he runs around him, leaving him no good option to land a counterattack. Even Morgana is impressed that Setsuna already has what it takes to control the range of fire attacks in such a short time. When Jagen realizes that he is losing the fight badly, he roars loudly, and the intensity of the roar causes Setsuna and his allies to cover their ears in pain. Jagen is able to land a hit, forcing Setsuna backwards. However, Jagen has managed to get some of Blazer's power, and he is starting to magnify it, saying it is pretty impressive. His entire body starts to burn in flames, and he mocks Setsuna, reminding him of his grand title about being the devourer of all things. Setsuna is more hyped when he realizes this, as he dares to see just how powerful Jagen is with the flame powers. Jagen dashes towards Setsuna at high speed, but Setsuna is able to match his speed and he dodges the hit. Jagen continues his rampage as he cuts through everything in his path, but Setsuna dodges everything. Suddenly, Jagen notices that his body is burning, forcing him to run toward Morgana so he can take her water powers. However, he suddenly realizes that his body has refused to move. This is when it dawns on him that he can't fully devour spirit magic. Setsuna makes fun of him, telling him that he might be able to absorb it, but it is no use if he can't properly wield it. Instead of Jagen consuming the power, the fire magic is consuming him instead. Setsuna assures him that he is not in the caliber of those who can devour the spirit magic. Jagen screams in agony as he asks Setsuna if he intentionally allowed himself to be hit. Frustrated and desperate, Jagen turns to Leo, telling him to disintegrate the power that is burning him up. Leo cannot believe that Jagen is asking him for help when he clearly told him minutes ago to stay away. Jagen screams at Leo to just do what he told him, and Leo finally agrees to just so the dude can stop screaming at him. Leo unleashes his powerful long-range magic and he hits Jagen with it, but instead of nullification magic he resorts to destructive magic, shocking Jagen. The magic cuts through Jagen's body, but it doesn't stop there. It ends up going through Jagen and reaching Morgana where she is. Because she is not expecting the attack, it melts half of her just by getting in contact with her. Setsuna screams out in horror when he sees his mentor getting fried off. Jagen also shouts at Leo, claiming that he betrayed them, but Leo argues that he only prioritized the mission. Basically, they were able to locate Morgana thanks to Jagen's sense of smell, but Leo thinks his work is done. Jagen is not ready to die alone, and he decides to take everyone close to him down. Just as he is about to self-destruct, Setsuna jumps in, and he uses the spirit flame magic to conjure a fiery sword. With a single strike, Setsuna cuts Jagen down, leaving a black gemstone. By the time he is done dealing with Jagen, Setsuna turns around to see that Leo has escaped just like before. Setsuna tries to track him, but he can't detect his mana. Setsuna then makes it known that no matter what it takes, he is going to defeat Leo. Setsuna then runs over to where whatever remains of Morgana is lying. Setsuna helps her up, telling her to hang tight so she can receive treatment. Morgana smiles, telling Setsuna that there is no way to save her because Leo used a disintegration magic to hit her. Setsuna doesn't want to give up, but Lionel taps him on the shoulder not to push his luck. Morgana then tells Setsuna that he needs to be proud because he is a close combat mage who is recognized by the flame spirit. Morgana then tells him that she has something that she has to entrust to him. She hands him a pendant and reveals that it contains her spirit, Waternia. Basically, it is going to help in forming a bond with the water spirit, and because of this, Morgana decides to entrust it to him. Setsuna still doesn't think the lady is dying because he believes that there is a way to save her. However, before he can even finish his statement, Morgana dies right in his arms. In despair, Setsuna lays her on the ground, and Setsuna is forced to ask Lionel the point of getting stronger if he can't protect those who are close to him. Lionel takes a moment before answering the question, and he tells him that life is uncertain because they will never know what will happen. He assures him that no matter how strong he isn't perfect because he is human, which is normal. Lionel says the important thing is to never give up, even when it seems really tough. Lionel believes that Setsuna, of all people, is supposed to understand this. Setsuna is bawling his eyes out when Morgana's servant shows up and smacks Setsuna on the head, telling him that he just got tricked. Setsuna is confused as to what the servant is talking about. Just then, the servant reveals the ultimate surprise that she is the real Morgana. Setsuna's head almost blows off when he hears this. Morgana then reveals that the old lady is nothing but an alchemical doll, just like the other servants. However, unlike the other dolls, Morgana actually embedded her soul into her, which is why she had emotions and could wield her powers too. Lionel cannot believe that the Morgana they have been interacting with is just a decoy. The real Morgana smiles, saying the decoy was her masterpiece as an alchemist. Setsuna remains skeptical because he has never seen a doll look so alive. In addition, Morgana looked just like the old doll in the spirit realm, and Morgana reveals that appearances can be changed in the spirit world. When Morgana realizes that Lionel is exceptionally doubtful, she takes off her headwear, revealing her long ears. It turns out that she is an elf, and because she is of elven blood, she can live longer than humans. She then tells the two to guess her age, but the two find it hard to do so. Since they are too dull to do so, Morgana finally tells them that she is over 300 years old. Setsuna is shocked when he hears this, but at the same time he realizes that Morgana must have been part of the Great Magic War. When he mentions this, Morgana quickly figures out that Setsuna is interested in the Great Magic War. She assures Setsuna that she is willing to tell him, but it comes with a price. Setsuna immediately mentions that he has money and is ready to offer it, but Morgana cuts him off, telling him that she is just teasing him. Since it is not safe where they are, Morgana suggests that they move to the lake, where they can talk about the erased history, the Great Magic War. They arrive at the lake, and Morgana starts playing like a kid, leaving the men wondering how she could easily switch personalities in a whiff. After she is done throwing stones into the lake, she decides that it is time to start telling them the story about the Great War. Before she starts, she reminds them that the world is inhabited by various races, like dwarves, elves, and beastmen. Among these races, elves are the only ones with a lifespan that can be classified as immortal. Because elves like living in nature, they often get the chance to interact with spirits. This is essentially why they were able to use spirit magic. Basically, spirits and elves were once worshipped by humans, but some allowed this to get to their heads. One elf in particular manipulated the king of a nation because the king was loyal to him. The elf then taught the art of spirit magic to those who worshipped him and used them to wage a war in an attempt to conquer the world. This was basically what the Great was all about. After a long-fought battle, the believers of elves and spirits were defeated, and because of this, elves have since then been persecuted. The ancient magic was just a word that was formed to hide the fact that magic has a way of handling spirits. After she is done telling her story, Lionel is moved by it, and he asks her if she is not angry about what humans did to the elves. Morgana admits that she once hated humans, but she no longer does, even though she keeps her distance from humans. Morgana is aware that even after years that the war has ended, there are humans who want to terminate elves. And this is why she resorted to the use of a body double to safely hide her identity. Setsuna then asks her why she chose to reveal her true form to them, and she simply replies that she did so because the headmaster trusts them. In addition to this, Setsuna has proved that he is worth the trust. Morgana teases Setsuna, saying she saw how he was crying and just decided to show him her true self. Setsuna tries to act like a man by saying he wasn't crying, and when he looks to Lionel to back him up, Lionel is busy laughing at him. After the story, Setsuna and Lionel help Morgana with the cleanup of her place before they start preparing to leave. Morgana thanks them for the help, and in return, Setsuna thanks the lady, saying he is happy that he met her. Lionel asks Morgana what she plans to do, and she reveals that she has no choice but to move to another place, since her hideout has been discovered. Morgana believes that they might never see each other again, and this strikes a cut in Setsuna's heart. He then tells Morgana to help them again whenever humanity is in danger. He completes the request by bowing his head to Morgana and adding the word, please to it. This is enough to get to Morgana, and she tells Setsuna that when the time comes, he should ask the headmaster because she sometimes exchanges letters with him. Setsuna is happy to hear this, and he thanks the old lady, but Blazer, who still has a beef with Morgana, jumps out of the crest to threaten her. He tells her that he is going to burn her to ash next time they meet, but Morgana quickly shows him a bit of water magic to scare him off. With this, Lionel and Setsuna finally go back to their lizards so that they can return to the academy. Lionel remembers what he was told by a sister at the orphanage where he grew up about not allowing his power to control him, but to be responsible with it. Setsuna then redeems his vow to use the power of the spirit of good and justice only. Setsuna and Lionel are glad that they are about to have a blissful ride back to the academy. Meanwhile, Leo is facing trial for not killing Setsuna and even abandoning his comrade. In his defense, Leo says he was able to kill Morgana, and Santanakia asks him if he confirmed the death of the witch. Leo confesses that he didn't, but he is pretty sure that she can't survive the intensity of the attack that he used on her. Santanakia is pissed when he hears this, and a scary aura emanates from his body as he reminds Leo that he was told to confirm that the witch is dead. The pressure from Santanakia almost crushes Leo's bones until the 8th apostle, Tsukuyomi, comes in, saying Leo should have at least returned with Jagen's body because she would have turned him into an undead. Just then, Leo mentions that no one told him about Setsuna knowing about Jagen's power, but Santanakia cuts him off, saying he has no excuse for failing his mission. Nonetheless, Santanakia believes that it is time that they recheck everything concerning Setsuna. Santanakia believes that Setsuna has some hidden talent that they don't know about. Puker then reminds the group that the 8th apostle's toy, Giovanni, was also a failure. Santanakia then asks her if she can handle Setsuna, and she confidently says yes. Apparently, she has something cooking behind the scenes because of her power, which is the power to revive the dead. On the other hand, Setsuna and Lionel are having a peaceful journey back to the academy. Setsuna is curious to see how they are all faring without him. Lionel is pretty sure that Drago is training himself to death. Setsuna agrees with Lionel, and he looks into the sky, wondering just when he started caring about those who are around him. Lionel then asks him if it was different in the past, and he says yes, because all he cared about was training himself. Setsuna thought about how he was always dreaming of getting to the peak of long-range magic, and he was on the course of doing this because he won every battle with it. Setsuna never needed anyone's help, and he barely had friends too. However, everything is now different in his current life. He basically has people he now relies on, and he also learned that other magic paths are not useless, as people termed them to be. In addition, he is thankful for the magic control he cultivated in his past life because this is what has helped him master close combat quite well. Lionel then tells him that the magic control was a skill he learned via training, not that he had the aptitude or talent for it. Lionel lets him know that his level of competence is not something that can just be achieved in a few years. Deep down, Lionel knows Setsuna has gone through rigorous training, which is why he ended up being the strongest in the world. Shortly afterward, Lionel suggests that they take a break. Setsuna sits down and he brings out the magic item that Morgana gave him. He reads the note attached to it and he finally realizes that it is a very important item that will come in clutch when the time comes. Blazer takes an interest in the necklace because he senses the presence of the water spirit in it. Setsuna then puts it on just like Morgana told him, and he silently whispers to the water spirit, asking if she can hear his voice. Surprisingly, the water spirit speaks back to him via the pendant. Setsuna is stunned, But the water spirit tells him not to because she already knows who he is, since he is hanging out with Morgana. The water spirit assures him that she is going to lend him her power if he manages to overcome her trial. Setsuna is excited to hear this, but it suddenly dawns on him that he must not celebrate because it's going to be a tough battle. Just then, the water spirit urges Setsuna not to be worried or scared because the trial she is giving to him is to move her. Setsuna is confused by what she means, and the water spirit reveals that she is already getting tired of the spirit world, and because of this, she needs a new experience. When Blazer hears the trial, he is disappointed because he wanted the water spirit to give Setsuna a tougher trial. Just then, the water spirit tells Blazer that she bears no ill intent toward him. Setsuna is surprised to see that the water spirit is actually friendly, unlike Blazer. However, Setsuna is still confused about moving the water spirit. Just then, Lionel taps him on the shoulder, telling him that he is such a lucky dude. In addition to this, he tells him that he has a story for him that will move him to tears. The water spirit immediately becomes interested in this, and Lionel sits down to tap into his narrating skills. Lionel reveals that the story is about the heroes who saved the nation years ago. The heroes are Ordino, the indestructible blade, and Wallace, the iron wall. Lionel narrates the story, and in no time, everyone gets bored and just falls asleep. Setsuna is worried about the trial, but he decides to wait till he reaches the academy to talk about it with his friends. When they arrived at the academy, Layla was the first to hear of it, and she started racking her brain on what it might be. Layla then tells Setsuna to follow her to the art museum whenever he is free because she has a friend who is knowledgeable about his worries. Setsuna is willing to go, and just as expected, Carol and Drago also offer to follow them. Setsuna then continues life with his friends. Setsuna visits the sacred tree regularly to train, while also trying to pass the water spirit trial, but he keeps failing. After months of training, Blazer is forced to admit that Setsuna has mastered his power to some commendable extent. Setsuna is surprised to hear Blazer commending him, which is a really weird thing to hear. Momentarily, winter comes upon them, and Setsuna remembers that the incident he is worried about is fast approaching. Setsuna is disappointed that he couldn't make a contract with the water spirit before the incident. Nonetheless, he decides to put the trials aside because he has other things to do. Blazer asks him if he is confident that he is done training, and he says yes because it is finally time. In addition to this, he can't train using the sacred tree again because he has drained the tree's mana, and it is going to take a few years to recharge. However, he is thankful because he was able to master Blazer's power at the time when the tree was still active. Setsuna then tells Blazer that the year's break is coming, but there is no time for them to rest. Blazer asks him if they are preparing for a big battle, and Setsuna says yes. He reveals that the arrival of the evil god was preceded by 4 great catastrophes, and one of them is happening in 7 days. Blazer then asks Setsuna about the said 4 causes of defeat. Setsuna explains that the invasion of the evil god had 4 particular fatal events. The first one is the Great Plague of Dragon Silence, the second is the destruction of the Mage's army, the third is the overnight disappearance of the royal capital, and the last one, which will come first, is the undead army, attacking the world. The massive surge of undead army caused a lot of death to the human populace in his past life. Blazer is surprised to hear this since he doesn't see the undead as a big deal. Setsuna then tells him that the undead are not the regular ones that he knows. Apparently the enemy undead were former heroes who had an influence on the world. Setsuna believes that the power is one that turns the dead into extraordinary undead. He initially thought Giovanni was the apostle behind the undead surge, but after fighting him, he realized that the dude is too weak to command the army of the underworld. Apparently, the first incident will happen in Eldina, Setsuna's hometown. This is an incident where corpses were taken from the graves of the heroes, leaving people initially believing that someone was trying to steal the heroes' treasures. Unknown to them, the main target was the corpses themselves. Since Setsuna already knows this, he plans to head to the royal cemetery before the night of the incident in an attempt to stop it. During lunch that day, Layla asks Drago if he will be going home, since it is the winter break. Drago says yes, confirming that his father is going to teach him the secret techniques of close combat that have been passed down through generations. Carol also mentions that she is going to have fun with Fenrir in the icy plains of her family's territory, and she asks Blazer if he would like to join her. Without thinking twice, Blazer ultimately refuses the proposal. Layla, on the other hand, is blown away by this because Carol's family happens to be a rich one. Layla then asks Setsuna how he plans to spend his break, but Setsuna is already lost in thought. Layla is forced to call his name twice before he finally comes back to life. Setsuna has no idea what Layla asked him, and he had no choice but to ask her what she was talking about. Layla realizes that something is up with him because he is always thinking, and in addition to that, he returns injured after the last break. Carol notices that Layla is puffed up already, and she whispers in her ear, telling her to make a move on Setsuna before it is too late, since he is quite popular among girls. Layla is taken aback by this, and she tries to play a fool, saying Carol has it all wrong, but Carol tells her that she has no reason to hide it. Layla then moves past the conversation as he asks Setsuna about his hometown. Setsuna reveals that he is from an orphanage in the Eldina region. This surprises Layla because the region is close to her family's inn. They are in the middle of the discussion when the trash noble, Carl, shows up to join, when he is not asked to. After hearing where Layla came from, he extends a hand to her, asking her if she is willing to join his luxurious vacation. But Layla just looks at him like he is an infested pig. Before he can touch Layla, Carl suddenly gets uprooted from the ground with an earth magic. This shocks everyone, and when they turn around to see who attacked Carl, it turns out to be a girl wearing a nun's outfit. Setsuna is surprised when she runs over to hug Layla, leaving him to ask Layla who the girl is. Layla then reveals that the girl is Roberta and that she is her relative. Apparently she is there to take her home for the winter break. Roberta mentions that she is planning to help with the Saints Festival being held in Eldina. The moment Setsuna hears this, His face lights up in excitement because he knows about the Saints Festival, which is always held at the end of the year. Basically, the event is about praying to the heroes, who are resting in the royal cemetery. Setsuna also remembers that the festival was the trigger for the grave robbery incident. Because of the reduction in security during the festival, it was easy for the heroes' corpses to be stolen. Momentarily, Roberta finally releases her tense face after she concludes that Drago and Setsuna have no ulterior motive in being around Layla. Layla's friends finally introduce themselves to the uptight lady, and Roberta takes an interest in Setsuna, particularly because he has heard about him. Layla then tells Roberta that Setsuna's hometown is Eldina, and she immediately suggests that they give Setsuna a ride. Setsuna is happy to hear this, since it is going to take a lot of stress off his neck. On the first day of the winter break, they begin their journey, and Roberta reveals that they are going to stop at Layla's home first. After this, she is going to take Setsuna to Eldina. When Layla hears this, she remembers what Carol told her, and she becomes worried that Roberta might just elope with Setsuna. To prevent this, Layla immediately reveals her desire to join the Saints Festival, but just as she is saying it, something hits the carriage, grabbing their attention. They step outside to check, and it turns out to be a pack of demonic dogs. Roberta reveals that there has been an increase in monster activities in recent times, leaving her to wonder what the problem might be. Roberta whips out some seeds and throws them at the monsters. Setsuna is confused about the essence of the seeds until they suddenly sprout into full-blown trees, ultimately terminating the monsters. Setsuna immediately figured out that Roberta applied healing magic on the seeds, and Roberta confirms that he is right. She sent mana into the seeds to accelerate their growth, leaving Setsuna impressed. Apparently, the tweaking of healing magic to make it more offensive later turned out to be effective in the war against the evil god, and Setsuna is happy that someone has already mastered it very early. Setsuna then tells Roberta that he is going to help, but Roberta tries to stop him, telling him how dangerous it is to be bitten by demonic dogs. However, Setsuna assures her that she has nothing to worry about. With just a swing from his punch, Setsuna activates Charge Bullet, and he wipes them all out in one go. Roberta is left stunned, forced to ask Setsuna if he is really a student. She walks over to Setsuna to touch his arm while saying his magic control is top-notch. She starts asking several questions, like who his master is and what type of training he does. Setsuna realizes that they are just going to be stuck on questions, and he tells Roberta that they need to check on the others first. However, during the entire thing, Layla notices that Setsuna is protecting his glove, and this makes her confirm that our MC is definitely keeping something from them. Later that day, they arrive at an inn, and just as they are about to start eating, Roberta raises more questions for Setsuna. That night, Layla finds it hard to sleep, and she decides that she will have to tell Roberta to take her to Eldina. She walks to Roberta's room to talk to her about this, but arriving at the door, she notices that she is speaking to someone. She's about to walk away to avoid hearing her conversation when she hears her speak Setsuna's name. This grabs her attention, forcing her to stay back and listen. From the way she is talking, it appears that she is in contact with the church via a magic tool. She tells them that by her report, Setsuna is a wielder of ancient magic, which makes him dangerous. To subjugate him, Roberta initially asks for 10 purification nights, but immediately changes it to 20 purification nights. In fact, she is willing to carry out judgment herself, if needed. Layla is shocked when she hears this, causing the cup she is holding to fall from her hand in fear. Roberta hears the noise and immediately rushes outside to see if someone was spying on her, but she finds nothing. Even the broken cup has somehow been cleared up by Layla. The following morning, Roberta appears to them as her normal self, leaving Layla to wonder if she truly meant what she was discussing at night. Layla knows she has heard of ancient magic as the type of magic that evil dudes use. She wonders if Setsuna is truly using evil magic, and she is also thrown into confusion about what she is supposed to do. Momentarily, Setsuna returns from his early morning training session, and he joins the two. Roberta plays her spy agent role pretty cool by talking to Setsuna in a good way and even asking him if he would like to eat breakfast. Setsuna thanks the lady for the gesture, but tells her that he would like to eat breakfast first. Roberta then suggests that Setsuna try out the sauna because it is a recommendation from the inn. This is Blazer's first time hearing about a sauna, and he immediately asks Setsuna what it is all about. Since Blazer is interested in the sauna, Setsuna thanks Roberta and assures her that he is going to give it a try. Momentarily, Setsuna heads to the sauna to soak himself in the heat. Blazer tries to act all cool by saying he is not affected by the heat. But Setsuna can clearly see that even though he is the king of flames, he is susceptible to heat. Setsuna is minding his business when Roberta enters the sauna in a towel too. Setsuna is shocked to see this, forcing him to ask the lady what her business is in the sauna. Roberta sits close to Setsuna, telling him that the sauna is open to both genders. Roberta realizes that Setsuna's glove is not off, which confirms her suspicion that he is hiding something. She plans to know what secret Setsuna is hiding in the sauna with whatever method available to her. Roberta then asks Setsuna if he is comfortable with the gloves since they are in a heated environment. She suggests that she help him take it off, but Setsuna says no, revealing that the gloves are important to him. Roberta tries to play it cool, saying the gloves are most likely a gift from someone. Setsuna refuses to answer the question, and Roberta asks him if he is hiding something. She moves closer to Setsuna and is about to slowly remove the gloves when Layla comes rushing into the room, telling her to stop. They're surprised to see her in the sauna, but before anything, she drags Roberta out of the sauna, telling her that she can't use the sauna while it is being cleaned. Apparently, there is a cleaning sign outside the sauna, and Layla tells Setsuna to get himself out of the sauna too. Layla is glad that she kept an eye on Setsuna because she is pretty sure that Setsuna is not a bad person, even if he is hiding something. Layla is prepared to protect Setsuna from being executed. After they are done at the inn, they prepare to start their journey, and Roberta reveals that they are heading to Layla's place. However, Layla raises her hand, asking if it is okay for her to go with them to Eldina. Roberta is shocked to hear this, asking Layla why she suddenly wants to follow them. Layla excitedly reveals that she wants to see Setsuna's home too. She adds that she would like to help at the orphanage, and she asks Setsuna if she is free to. Setsuna says yes, but he asks Roberta for her opinion first. Roberta is forced to agree, even though she is already sensing the fact that Layla likes Setsuna. Nonetheless, Roberta is not scared to carry out her duty, as she believes that having Layla around might even make Setsuna lower her guard. Soon afterward, they arrive at the Eldina orphanage, which is Setsuna's home. The moment they step into the compound, the other kids are already screaming for Setsuna. Setsuna is glad to finally be back among the kids, and Layla watches in amazement as the kids surround him like their father. Just then, the representative of the orphanage, Thomas, shows up to welcome Setsuna and to ask if he had a good journey. Setsuna quickly runs over to Thomas to stand side by side with him. He tells the girls that Thomas is like a brother to him, and it is because of him that the orphanage is still running. Thomas smiles, mentioning that he was also an orphan at the orphanage, and he is just doing his best to give back. Thomas and Setsuna end up teasing each other in a playful manner, leaving Layla surprised, since he has never seen Setsuna act so childish. Just then, Thomas reveals his surprise that Setsuna chose the close combat magic when his plan was to join the Magus army and rise to the top. Setsuna then tells Thomas that he has nothing to worry about because he is still aiming to be the best, even with the close combat magic. Layla then cuts in, telling Thomas that Setsuna is a really amazing mage. Thomas smiles, saying Layla is a great addition to Setsuna's life. Momentarily, Setsuna heads to the grave of the orphanage's founder, Deborah, to pay his respects. Setsuna reveals that Deborah is his savior because without her, he definitely wouldn't be alive. With the way Setsuna is talking about her, Layla easily senses that Deborah was important to him. Roberta then joins in, asking him if he can share some of his memories with her. Her request is subtly denied by Setsuna, who tells her that he has something else to attend to. Later that night, Setsuna heads to the royal cemetery and hides in a safe place like Batman, watching over the cemetery. Just as he suspected, the security around the cemetery is low thanks to the festival. The barrier around the cemetery has also been lifted, making it more open to enemy attacks. Basically, the bodies in the cemetery were once high-ranking mages when they were alive. When the evil power brought them to life, they caused a lot of destruction to humanity. Setsuna knows that he has to find a way to stop the grave robbery to prevent the heroes in the cemetery from becoming humanity's enemies. Blazer then assures Setsuna that he has nothing to worry about, no matter how strong their opponent is. Setsuna is glad to hear this coming from Blazer, but he warns him not to use magic in front of Roberta. Blazer says he already knows that there is something suspicious about her. Setsuna is prepared for the decisive battle that will take place in 2 nights to come. He assures Deborah that he is going to keep his promise to her. Meanwhile, Roberta is asking Thomas about Setsuna's past in the orphanage. Thomas subtly replies that he can't tell Roberta what she wants to hear. Enraged, Roberta whips out her Inquisitor's badge, telling Thomas that she is making an order, not a request. Thomas is shocked to see this, and Roberta mentions that there is the possibility that Setsuna is dangerous, which is why they are investigating him. Thomas is pissed at this, and he argues with Roberta that there is no way Setsuna is a dangerous person. Just then, Roberta turns to Layla to point out how calm she is. With the way she is acting, Roberta figures out that she already overheard her conversation. Layla quickly apologizes, saying it wasn't intentional. Layla then urges Thomas to tell them both about Setsuna. Thomas finally agrees, and he begins by explaining how Setsuna came to the orphanage on a rainy day. Thomas tells them how he clearly remembers the night that Setsuna arrived. He was brought to the orphanage by a lady riddled with arrows and on the verge of death. With every strength left in her, she begs Deborah to save little Setsuna. Apparently, the lady who brought Setsuna is none other than her mother. Thomas then suggests that they take a dive into her background before they continue talking about Setsuna. His mother's name is Emma, and she was born into a farming family. Emma was always happy with farming, and she was always doing her task diligently. Everything was going smoothly until one day when a powerful noble with large territories passed through the village. The noble senses a bright ray of light from Emma's soul, and he wastes no time asking for her hand in marriage. He called Emma his fated one, and because Emma has always hoped for a fateful encounter, she accepts the proposal immediately. Emma was immediately taken to the Schneider family, which is a big family. Emma was blown away by all the luxurious things in the estate as she ran around like a free bird. However, the noble had loads of concubines, and Emma was just another addition. Because of this, he rarely visited her, and Emma believed that by having a child for him, he would love her. Soon afterward, Emma got pregnant and gave birth to baby Setsuna. The noble praised her for this, and Emma heaved a sigh of relief, believing that she finally had what she prayed for. Just then, the noble tested the baby's magic affinity with his magic brooch, but to his disappointment, there was none. Enraged, he dropped the baby and walked out of the room. Basically, it is important in the noble society to pass on superior bloodlines, but the noble was pissed that Setsuna had no talent for magic. Basically, he fell for the magic power that was hidden inside Emma, not her beauty or personality, and this was what he wanted. Emma was pissed when she realized that her baby had no talent, and she grabbed a knife, aiming to kill Setsuna for failing to bring her happiness. Just as she is about to stab Setsuna, he lets off a really huge and cute smile, which ultimately breaks Emma. Emma drops the knife and starts sobbing like a kid while holding her baby close to her head. Momentarily, the noble's butler shows up at her door, late in the night. Emma asks him why he has come, and he subtly reveals that he is there to take the child away from Emma. Emma is not a fool, and she knows what the butler meant by this. She knows that they plan to dispose of Setsuna since he is useless. The butler tries sweet-talk things, telling Emma that the child will be taken away so that she can have the time to give birth to more superior offspring. Emma then tells the butler that she understands him, and she lets him know that she is going to make preparations. However, the butler didn't hear from Emma after some time. When he finally entered the room to check, Emma was gone. The butler sees Emma running away, and he sends guards after her. He tells the guards to capture Emma dead or alive. After sustaining several injuries, Emma made it to the orphanage. Deborah took her in and tended to her, but because of her severe injuries, she knows that she might not make it. Emma regretted that she brought Setsuna into a family that didn't want him because things would have been different for him if he had been born into a family that actually wanted him. Emma shed tears about how she allowed herself to be deceived by the noble. Since she is about to die and won't be able to take care of her child, she begs Deborah to save Setsuna. Seeing the tears in her eyes, Deborah holds Emma's hand and assures her that she is going to take care of Setsuna and will never hand him over to anyone. Deborah then lets Emma know that the way she gave birth to Setsuna doesn't define his happiness because humans find their own happiness. Deborah assures Emma that Setsuna will definitely find his own happiness. After hearing the assurance from Deborah, Emma finally dies. 7 years later, Setsuna has grown into a tough kid who is always trying to help. He got injured once, and when Deborah asked him what happened, he revealed that he tried to stop a noble kid from bullying his friend, but he got pushed instead. Setsuna revealed how the noble kid used his magic power to trash him, while also saying commoners are nothing when compared to nobles. In tears, Setsuna asks Deborah if what the noble kid said is true about being powerless, even if he has the intention of helping his friends. Setsuna wants to know if praying works, and Deborah just smiles at him, suggesting that they pray. Setsuna angrily asks if prayer is going to save him, and Deborah chuckles, saying he might have to wait and see. Deborah then tells him to pray to God and swear that he is going to prove the nobles wrong. Deborah lets him know that his mother was a strong woman, so he has no reason to rush. She assures him that he is also going to be strong, as long as he has a strong core. Later that day, Deborah hands him a book, telling Setsuna to look for another path if he lacks magic power. Apparently, the book was stolen from the noble's bookshelf by Emma, hoping that it would help Setsuna. The book was a book on magic control and everything it entails. Setsuna was excited about the book, but since he had no idea what it meant, he was forced to ask Deborah. Deborah then suggests that they try out the instructions in the book. The first thing she picks out is a fireball, and she demonstrates it for Setsuna to see. Setsuna is blown away by the intense fire that just came out of Deborah's hands. Deborah then reveals that he can evolve his magic by maintaining proper control of his mana. This is basically what the book was trying to point out. She tells him that he would only be able to use basic life magic until he masters everything, and in addition to this, she is confident that he has a lot to learn from the book. Setsuna was glad to hear this, and he assured Deborah that he was going to give it a try. However, Setsuna is confused about the contents of the book, and Deborah explains to him that it is an advanced magic book, but she assures him that she is going to be by his side when reading the book. After that, Setsuna started practicing magic control every day. He never took a single day off from practicing his magic control, and 5 years later Setsuna had become impressive. Thomas commends him, telling him that he might even become a grand mage in the future. Thomas then asks him about the magic path he would like to pursue. Setsuna reveals that to properly make use of magic control, he would prefer long-range magic. Nonetheless, he wants to try out other magic paths, but since using a magic path automatically binds one's core, Setsuna is at a crossroads. However, he is confident that he can still practice with magic close to each path and find one that is more suitable for him. The two are in the middle of their discussion when he gets a report that his friend, Roka, has been taken by the noble bully, Slain. Apparently, Slain dragged Roka into the woods because she resisted his proposal. When Setsuna hears this, he angrily dashes into the woods. Inside the forest, Roka is backed into a corner while Slain prepares to have his way with her. Slain urges her not to resist because she is nothing but a commoner, and she should even be happy that a noble is making advances toward her. Slain is about to start touching her when he hears a noise behind him. He angrily turns around, planning to scold his underlings for being useless. To his greatest surprise, they are under attack by a horde of goblins. Slain is shocked to see this because there has never been a report of goblins in the forest in the past. One of the goblins comes rushing towards Slain and he hits it with a weak magic, but it is enough to throw the goblin back. This immediately gives Slain the confidence that he can handle the goblins because they are nothing more than goblins in the first place. Slain boasts to his underlings and Roka about the magic power that a noble has. His underlings cheer him on, telling him that his future in the Magus army is definitely guaranteed. Just then, the goblin he had earlier attacked started standing back up. Slain is shocked to see this, but since he has boasted about how strong he is, he attacks the goblins again. This time around he uses more magic power, expecting to wipe them all out, but to his surprise it does nothing but tickle the goblins. Slain, being the loser he is, immediately grabs Roka and pushes her toward the goblins, telling her to make herself useful. The goblins smile in a very creepy manner, as if they have been presented with a nice sacrifice. Roka is faced with the goblins, and just as she is about to meet her end, Setsuna shows up, criticizing Slain's use of magic. Setsuna jumps between the goblins and Roka, without any strand of fear in him. Setsuna asks Roka if she is fine, and she says yes, while thanking Setsuna for coming to save her. Since the goblins are already fixated on Setsuna and Roka, Slain and his underlings use the opportunity to run away. Surprisingly, the goblins chase after Slain and his buddies instead. Roka is surprised, and Setsuna tells her that the goblins must have been pissed that Slain attacked them. Setsuna then suggests that they return to Thomas and the other kids. Slain has his hands full when his buddies take another route, leaving him alone with the pissed-off goblins. Slain continued running until he found himself at the end of a cliff with nowhere else to run. Slain starts crying like a baby, begging the monsters to leave him alone until Setsuna shows up to save him. Setsuna tells him that without his losers behind him, he is nothing more than a pathetic loser. Setsuna hits the goblins with a powerful magic attack, leaving Slain impressed. He tells Setsuna that he is going to make him his subordinate if he helps him, but Setsuna tells the dumbass that he is not there to help him. Setsuna assures Slain that he is going to make him pay for what he was about to do to Roka. After giving Slain a piece of his mind, Setsuna continues discharging the goblins with serious magic strikes. Momentarily, Slain decides to be an a-hole by telling Setsuna that he has found out how he is able to use magic attacks proficiently. He realized that all Setsuna is doing is magic control, and he makes fun of him, saying it is nothing but cheap tricks. Slain starts boasting about how his strength won't take him anywhere because magic power supersedes all. Setsuna admits that his magic power is lacking, which will make it hard for him to handle all of the goblins by himself. However, he has been training non-stop for 5 years to hone his magic control skills. He tells Slain that he is going to show him accumulated skill, pretty much greater than having talent. Setsuna whips out a sheet and unleashes a magic power that slowly ignites the sheet. Slain is shocked when he sees this, and he assumes that Setsuna is using a magic type called bestowal magic, even when he hasn't undergone the rite of picking a magic path. Setsuna smiles, telling him that what he is looking at is not bestowal magic, but he is actually controlling the monocore with magic to properly simulate spellcasting. A monocore is basically a tank that holds magic inside a human. It is shaped from birth but fully fixed by the rite of mastery. This is what grants the function of a magical circuit, allowing official system magic, but in the case of Setsuna, his magic control can change the shape of his monocore. Setsuna then throws the sheet at the goblins and properly ignites it before reaching them. This creates a mini fireball that creates a boundary between them and the goblins. Setsuna tells Slain that he might not be able to properly chase the goblins away, but what he just did will keep them at bay. Slain is shocked when he sees this because he couldn't even handle the goblins, but Setsuna was able to stop them easily. Just then, Setsuna applies a light protection magic on Slain and himself, saying it should help them withstand the impact of landing. Slain believes that it is a form of healing magic, and Setsuna lets him know that it is not simulated enough yet. Slain cannot believe just how diverse Setsuna is to be able to use several magic systems. Setsuna suddenly grabs Slain's hand, leaving him confused. Scared to his bones, he asks him what he is doing, and Setsuna reveals that they are jumping off the cliff, while reminding Slain that he is a noble's kid, so he shouldn't be scared. With no other choice, the two leap off the cliff, down into the water below. Slain passes out just from jumping off the cliff, and when he wakes up, he finds himself in a cave with Setsuna watching over him. Setsuna teases him for passing out just from a jump. Slain is filled with terror when he realizes that Setsuna has set up some sort of monster prevention magic at the entrance of the cave. Slain cannot believe that Setsuna also has talent for formation magic. Pissed about this, Slain speaks out about how a trash commoner like him could be a genius mage. Setsuna denies being great, saying all he did was just daily accumulation. Setsuna then tells Slain that it would be best for them to return to the village since he has regained mobility. However, he assures him that he is still going to make him pay for what he did to Roka. Momentarily, they arrived at the village, with Thomas waiting for them. Thomas scolds Setsuna for his reckless behavior, and he apologizes. Setsuna then pushes Slain in Roka's direction to do the needful. Setsuna tells Roka that she is free to do whatever she wants with Slain since his family's search party is not close by. In fact, Setsuna lets Slain know that they can return to the goblin territory if this is what Roka wants. Scared to death, Slain apologizes for what he did. But before he can finish his statement, Roka kicks him in the balls, causing him unimaginable pain only a guy can feel. Slain falls to the ground in pain, and Roka tells him never to come near them again. Thomas and Setsuna are happy with the way Roka dealt with the loser. Things continued going well at the orphanage until Deborah fell sick when he was 15 years old. On her deathbed, Thomas tells Deborah that he is going to become a priest so he can properly protect the kids. Deborah thanks him for his dedication while telling him that he can definitely do it. Setsuna also informs the lady that he has decided to enroll in the Magic Academy. Setsuna lets the lady know that this dream was possible, all thanks to the training he had with her. Deborah shed tears of joy when she realized that she had managed to train the two into becoming the best individuals. Since she is about to die, Deborah tells the kids that they need to know about her sins. Deborah suddenly reveals that the reason the kids became orphans is because of her. This shocks the kids, and they all ask her what she meant by this. Deborah explains that she was once a member of the Mage battalion. She was always fighting to bring peace to the world, but she failed to protect the village on a fateful night when the village was attacked by a horde of monsters. Setsuna tries to dissuade Deborah from the idea that what happened is her fault, but she insists that most of the people who died on that day were their parents. It turns out that she was cursed by the monsters, leaving his body entirely corroded from within and unable to bear children. After she left the Magus battalion, she searched the village for hope, but deep down, she was looking for forgiveness. And raising the kids was her own way of atoning for her supposed sins. Deborah has always taught them that having a core of the heart is important, but it turns out that she is the pitiful one. Deborah then thanks the kids for everything up until that very point. Deborah reveals that the core of her heart was their smiles. However, Setsuna lets her know that she was the one who brought back their smiles. Setsuna lets her know that they managed to reach the point that they are because of her. In tears, Setsuna thanks Deborah while telling her that she is the beacon who illuminated his life. Setsuna then told Deborah that he wants to protect the coming generation just like she did. Setsuna promises Deborah that she is going to become the strongest long-range magic mage, graduate as the best in his class, and finally join the Magus battalion. After he has achieved all of these, he promises to support the orphanage so he can be worthy of her name. Deborah is glad to hear this, and she pats Setsuna on the cheeks, thanking him for growing strong. After saying this, she gives up the ghost, leaving the kids to scream in pain. Setsuna calls her by her title, but in the end, calls her mom. Not long after burying Deborah, Setsuna enrolled in the Magic Academy. After hearing the sad story from Thomas, Setsuna is brought to tears, as she never knew that Setsuna had gone through such a terrible fate. Roberta, on the other hand, finally understands how Setsuna was able to cultivate his magic control and gain the immense strength that he has. However, she is still baffled as to why Setsuna chose close-range magic even after knowing that long-range magic is basically a boost to success. Roberta is confident that Setsuna must have had a good reason to throw his future away. Even though Roberta is fighting the urge to doubt Setsuna, she still wants to confirm it herself. Later that night, Roberta waits in ambush for Setsuna to walk by so she can subdue him and confirm if he has another crest on his body. Setsuna is minding his business when he is suddenly attacked by Roberta. She aims her power directly at Setsuna's left hand, which is hidden behind the glove, to try and confirm her suspicion. The magic tears off Setsuna's glove, and instead of a crest, what she sees is a burn scar, leaving her surprised. Setsuna then tells her to step out from where she is hiding because he knows her magic. Roberta has no choice but to come out, and Setsuna asks her why she would do such a thing. This is when Roberta brings out her badge to reveal that she is an inquisitor from the church. She tells Setsuna that he has been suspected of wielding ancient magic. She demands that Setsuna show the back of his mind, and Setsuna confidently tells her that he doesn't mind doing that. Setsuna shows Roberta the scar, saying it is a burn scar that he got during the Academy's joint training, but he didn't want to show it to others, which is why he kept it hidden. Roberta takes a closer look and she realizes that there are no signs of fabrication on the skin. Because of this, she had no choice but to apologize to Setsuna, telling him that she had made a mistake. Roberta bows her head, begging Setsuna to forgive her. But Setsuna quickly tells the lady to raise her head because he has no issues since the suspicions have been cleared. Roberta then asks Setsuna what he is doing in the area, and Setsuna mentions that he is patrolling the royal cemetery because events tend to happen at the cemetery during the Saints' Festival. Roberta believes him and then retreats, while fully convinced that Setsuna has nothing hidden in his cupboard. Just as she leaves, a tiny blue orb that Morgana gave him falls from the back of his hand, finally revealing his crest. Blazer is glad that everything is over because he was getting frustrated already. He then asks Setsuna why he didn't dodge Roberta's attack when he could clearly do so. Setsuna then reveals that he intentionally took the hit to prevent Roberta from continually attacking him until she sees the back of his hand. He was already prepared, and her attack came just at the right moment. It turns out that the blue orb is a magic tool that is imbued with alchemy and the power of a water spirit. This is a magic tool that blends into the skin and temporarily erases the glow of the crest. This was the instruction Morgana left in the note that she gave Setsuna, and she proudly mentions that it is her original technique, which will not be easily discovered. Setsuna is thankful to Morgana for saving him yet again. He has plans to reveal his crest at some point, but he is glad that Roberta's suspicions have been cleared. With Roberta out of the way, Setsuna believes that he can finally focus on the cemetery robbery. Finally, the day of the festival arrives, and Layla is in her room when Roberta shows up. Layla almost faints in excitement when she learns that Setsuna is no longer under suspicion. Roberta also apologizes to Layla for the trouble that she caused because of her doubt. Layla tells Roberta that she has nothing to apologize for because she has always believed that Setsuna is a good person. Roberta says she is also relieved because she no longer has to suspect Layla's friend. Roberta then asks Layla if she doesn't have the plans to invite Setsuna to the Saints' Festival. Layla gives an awkward answer, leaving Roberta to ask her why she's being totally awkward. Layla then replies that she believes Setsuna is aiming for a really high standard. Roberta understands Layla's concern, and she decides that they need to show Setsuna what he is missing. Meanwhile, Setsuna has decided not to bring the water spirit pendant with him to the patrol, because he is scared that it might get damaged, or the apostles might even steal it from him. He doesn't want a situation where Morgana and the water spirit will be in danger, and this makes him leave the pendant back at the house. After he is done storing the pendant, he tells Blazer that it is time for them to leave. As he is about to step out of the house, he runs into Thomas, who asks him if he is going to the festival, but Setsuna tells him no, saying he is going on a patrol. Setsuna then walks up to Thomas, telling him to keep the kids at the house because something bad might happen. He remembers that in his past life, the children at the orphanage disappeared on the day of the festival, which probably meant they got caught up in the incident. Thomas then assures Setsuna that he is not going to keep his eyes off the kids. Setsuna taps his big bro on the shoulder, thanking him for being reliable. Setsuna plans to prevent the destruction that claimed the lives of those he loved. Setsuna is about to leave when Layla runs into him from behind. He turns around to see Layla wearing a stunning dress that makes her look absolutely gorgeous. Setsuna is still trying to process the situation when Layla asks him if he would like to go with her to the Saints' Festival. Setsuna wastes no time giving the girl an answer. He tells her that he won't be able to go because he has a patrol at the royal cemetery. This strikes Layla's heart like a heavy stone, ultimately pissing Roberta off. She screams at Setsuna, asking him if he can't find a way out of his supposedly busy schedule. Before Roberta can lash out further at Setsuna, Layla quickly jumps, accepting Setsuna's decision not to go. Setsuna then walks away with Layla, wishing him luck on his patrol. At the cemetery, the two guards stationed there talk about how much they wish that they were at the festival too. They are going about their task when they notice that the ground is shaking and to their very eyes the undead start rising from their graves. The guards are about to be overwhelmed when Setsuna suddenly shows up to decapitate the closest undead with his punch. He then tells the guards to evacuate the area because of the dangers. The guards are confused because they have never seen Setsuna before, but Setsuna mentions that he is there to help with the patrol. The guards still question his presence because no one told them anything about what he just said. In addition, the guards believe that Setsuna should run because there is no way he is engaging all of the monsters on his own. However, Tsukuyomi is able to dodge his strike, leaving him to cut down undead monsters instead of her. Tsukuyomi smiles instead of getting scared, and she commends Setsuna for getting to her pretty fast. Setsuna, on the other hand, is confused about who Tsukuyomi is because he doesn't know she is an apostle yet. At the same time, she resembles Yuzuha, forcing her to ask the lady if she has any connections with Yuzuha. Tsukuyomi decides to have a chat with Setsuna since he asked about Yuzuha. Tsukuyomi mentioned that Giovanni had Yuzuha committed to him, and in return, Giovanni worshipped Tsukuyomi. Tsukuyomi believes that Giovanni picked Yuzuha because she resembles someone he respects and worships. However, Tsukuyomi is disappointed that Yuzuha didn't perform to expectations. After she is done explaining herself, she turns to Setsuna, telling him that it is his turn to answer her questions. She then asks him how he found her. Setsuna mentions that he enhanced his hearing with a physical boost, and then he traced the undead appearance back to the central point. In addition to this, the magic infused in the earring that was given to Yuzuha was totally different from Giovanni's magic. Since the magic he was sensing was very ominous, it was easy for him to follow the magic. After hearing this, Tsukuyomi commends Setsuna, saying his instincts are one of a kind, and in addition to that, he is combat capable too. Tsukuyomi finally understands why Giovanni wanted him at all costs. However, Tsukuyomi says everything he has explained doesn't mention how he was able to figure out the particular day and time she wanted to carry out her plan. Looking at his surroundings, Setsuna realizes that the undead are already gathering. And it dawns on him that this is the reason Tsukuyomi is holding back. Setsuna is not ready to continue playing her games, and he resorts to attacking the lady again. Setsuna throws an energy punch at Tsukuyomi, destroying everything in its path until it reaches Tsukuyomi and stops. A shield appears in front of Tsukuyomi, ultimately blocking the attack. Tsukuyomi makes fun of Setsuna, telling him that she had a backup plan before coming to the cemetery. Setsuna is shocked because the magic he just witnessed is one of a powerful summoning mage, known as the Iron Wall of Wallace. Basically, the shield has a time limit, but during the time that the shield is up, nothing will essentially pass through it, and the shield has a special counterattack after deflecting an attack. The counterattack is known as the Magic Sword's Vacuum Slash, and because Setsuna already knows this, he is able to bend at the right time to dodge the sword from decapitating him. As if Setsuna doesn't have enough on his plate already, another knight known as the Severing Iron of Ordino shows up. Setsuna is now going up against the strongest shield and spear in the history of magic. They are the legendary duos that the teachers in the academy always yap about. Setsuna is utterly blown away. And
his story is not yet over. If you want to see how far he will go, to master his magic and to face the evil god again, join us, subscribe and witness his rise.